Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Tracy Thomas here with Stellar Marketing and Business Solutions. And you are tuned into another weekly Stellar Marketing Pros live show. And I have a special treat for you today. She's going to be chiming in here soon, but I wanted to jump on here just to, first off, let you all know that I come on here every week live to bring on our local marketing experts that we work with, as well as our very own stellar clients. We've been blessed to be able to work with some amazing business owners and nonprofit organizations, and I did not find it robbery to be able to bring them on this platform so that you can learn about their services and the products that they offer. So our guest tonight should be chiming in soon, but I wanted to just touch base with everybody and just see how everybody is doing. First off, how is everyone? I'm using some new software here, so you guys have to bear with me in regards to some comments I can see, some comments I cannot see on this particular platform. But if you could hear me and if the audio is okay, if I can get you to just give me a shout out or a comment so that I can know that that is working. The audio is working. Can you guys hear me loud and clear? Okay. Okay, I have our guest who is jumping on here. They need to connect. We're having technical difficulties here, guys, as far as trying to get the guest on, as far as her device is connecting. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to just see how everyone is doing out there. We have been doing some amazing things within the agency here. We have some very, very amazing clients that we've been working with, and we have a lineup for the next 4 weeks of some amazing people that you guys are going to meet, the services that they offer, as well as the organizations, as far as what they're doing in the community. It looks like I have our guest here, and I wanted to see if I can add her onto this stream here. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Dr. Winn?
Yes.
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hold on one second, Dr. Winn. Hey there. I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just have a little delay. I have a little delay on my end. How is it on your end?
Yeah, I heard the delay. Yeah, there's a delay.
Okay. Hold on one second, dear. Let me fix this.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a delay, and I just want to make sure. I don't want us to have that much of a delay. Hold on one second, dear.
Okay.
Coming. I'm coming. Can you hear me now, Dr. Winn?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for some reason I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
There's like a delay. Okay, so let me do something real quick.
Okay.
Dr. Winn, go ahead. Introduce yourself, Dr. Winn, with consider the culture. If you could just go ahead and introduce yourself. I need to fix the audio on this end because I cannot have the delay asking the questions and then have such a delay. I need to hear it real time. So in the meanwhile, I'm gonna fix my audio. But if you could just warmly introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Alicia Nguyen. I'm an applied cultural anthropologist, and I'm originally from Riviera Beach, Florida. So I'm a home girl. I grew up in Riviera Beach. I now live in West Palm Beach. I'm currently the owner and founder of the Consider the Culture. And it is a company that I started a few years ago that encompasses professional development, education, community engagement, as well as I do workshops, consultations. I'm a consultant right now with the City of West Palm Beach, CRA, and I also am an adjunct professor at Palm Beach Atlantic University.
Yes,
That's a brief one. I wear many hats.
That was very brief, and I was listening to the delayed, and I got the bottom half of it. Finally got my audio on this end working. Y'all have to understand with this technology and this new equipment, and I got some new equipment that I'm playing with on this end, and I'm playing with because it's going to be some permanent equipment that's in place. So apologies on that as far as the audio and all of that in the beginning, Dr. Winn. And I just want to first off thank you for coming because I know you've got a busy schedule. You got a lot of stuff going on. You just finished class, right?
Yeah, I just left class. I just left my social policy class. It ended at 6, so I was rushing. I was rushing home to get here, but I thought it was very important, to be on your show. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and congratulations to you on your show and the work that you're doing and been doing. So because we've been working together, so I know all about you and your work. So I'm looking forward to much more to come for you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Winn. So let's talk about we've been working with each other for the last couple of months here now on your branding and the branding for your business. You've always been doing the consulting work, but we've talked over the last couple of months here, but it was previous before the COVID came in as far as you branding yourself and letting people know exactly who you are, what you do. Consider the culture.
Yes.
Let's talk about your baby. Let everybody know exactly what your brand is and who you serve and the services that you offer.
Okay, so Consider the Culture is actually my mother came up with that name because my mother is, I'm always, bouncing ideas off of her and talking to her about things. And as a cultural anthropologist, anthropology is the study of human beings throughout time, past and present. And I'm a cultural anthropologist, which is you use applied cultural anthropologist. That is, I use anthropology to solve contemporary problems. So I'm always telling people, and I always would tell my mom, you always have to consider the culture. You can't just go in and do what you do or communicate with people without considering one, their history, but also the culture. So when I said, well, Ma, I got to come up with a name. And she's like, well, why don't you do Consider the Culture? You always say consider the culture. That's what you always tell me. So I said, I said, okay, I like that. So that's what I stuck with. And it's basically everything that I've been doing in my career. I'm naturally an educator. I'm an academic, so I've always taught anthropology, cultural studies. And so I'm taking what I taught in my classroom with my students and taking it outside the classroom because I think it's such rich knowledge that I think everyone needs to know about. And so I didn't want just my college students to learn and know, this great knowledge. I wanted others who may not be in the classroom, who may not get a chance to go to college, but they may have gone to college, but they never been exposed to anthropology. And so that's why, I wanted to continue what I did in teaching, but teach to broader audiences in another way. And so, and provide consultation. So just for those who don't know, there are 4 subfields of anthropology. There's cultural, that look at shared behaviors, patterns of behaviors, belief systems. There's also linguistics, that looks at language, and that could be, different languages, dialects, that could be nonverbal communication, signals. And so that's part of my interest too. And then there's archaeology, where you reconstruct the past by looking in the dirt, in the ground. And a lot of people always say, oh, well, you're an anthropologist, you dig bones.
Bones, right?
Don't dig bones.
That's the first thing when you told, what's the first thing that came to my mind when I first met you? It's the bones. That was the first thing that came to mind.
Right. And that's part of what, with my business that I want to do, is educate, particularly, people of color. We haven't been exposed to the field of anthropology, like, and there may be, there are historically Black colleges throughout the country that, Howard used to have a program. And then there are a few other historically Black colleges may have had a program or a minor, or just offer a few courses in anthropology at HBCUs. And so I had the privilege of taking an anthropology course at my alma mater, Bethune-Cookman University, my sophomore year. And so I was a sociology major, but I felt like it was something missing. I wanted to learn more. And so when I took my anthropology course, I said, that's it. I don't know much about anthropology, but I'm definitely interested in cultures and a way of looking at people and groups of people in a very different way, a very holistic way. And so that's how I got into anthropology. But then lastly, the 4th subfield of anthropology is biological or physical anthropology, and that's looking at humans as biological organisms. And so you might look at, human variation, and that's like, why do some people have brown skin or light skin or blue eyes or coarse hair, and what factors come into play of why we look the way we look. It may be genetic, biology, it may be climate, it may be food. All these different factors come into play of how we look. And as time passed by, there are changes because our bodies adapt to its environment. So human variation looks into that, or human origins. And nobody, we don't like to talk about that, but, there are religious beliefs about where we come from, but then there are also scientific beliefs. So physical anthropology looks at, the origin of man, early humans, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Australopithecines, and looking at the patterns of movement, of migration of early humans. So that's another area. All of those subfields are fascinating. I had to take all of those areas. And so I'm knowledgeable in all those areas because I would teach introduction to anthropology. And so I had the opportunity to teach at Fayetteville State for 4 years. And most of my students were African-American or students of color. And that was the first time that many of them were exposed to anthropology. So it was a wonderful opportunity to share with them as a woman of color, to share with students of color a subfield that is very rare for us to be in. There are a lot of my colleagues, I have a lot of Black colleagues in anthropology, but it's a small percentage of us on a national level. And so once I introduced anthropology to my students of color, it opened up their eyes because, we have these different experiences, but they didn't know that there's a name to go with them. They're not, like you talking with your, in a professional setting, you speaking like this and that and those, and then when you with your friends and your people, you this, that, and those and them, and there's a word for that, there's code switching. And so they learned that there are words that go with their life experience, and they embrace that a little bit more. So when I saw that, I thought it was important to, take that education and that teaching outside and share that with the world, and look at these various ways of how the world works in these 4 subfields. And then you stamp applied anthropology on that when there's an issue, when there's a problem, to include that anthropological knowledge to solve those problems. So I know I'm jumping around, but
no, and I love it because I told you how we could get on here and we continue to go on and on and on, just like we normally do, just having the regular dialogue that we do. But please let everybody know, as far as, okay, your brand is consider the culture, but what is your tagline?
Oh, enlightening the world through anthropology. So,
Right.
it's like shedding light on the world using
Right.
anthropology, anthropological knowledge, and that could be taken many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That I won't go into, but it's that light, and
Yeah.
and sharing things like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Just looking at how we identify space. I tell people, that we have cultural beliefs about space. If somebody in America, and particularly in a traditional American culture, we value space, but we don't think about we value space, and space, and how close we stand to each other, or how distant we are, says a lot about our belief system.
Right.
So
I didn't even know that there was a such thing until you mentioned that. I was like, oh wow, okay, well that makes sense, and that's why this person acts like this, and this is why they're like that.
Yes. So in some cultures, it's no big deal being close to each other, but in traditional American culture and even subcultures, you don't get too close. You're sending a message. You're actually communicating something, or that person is interpreting something that you are communicating to them. So it's important, like even police officers, and to understand that there are cultural beliefs in how far or close we stand to someone. That's important for police officers to know. There are cultural beliefs about what people are afraid of, what they trust, who they trust. And if you understand, you consider the culture, we would avoid a lot of conflicts that we have today. It may have nothing to do with what you think it is. It may be a belief system that you have, or lack of trust based upon historical things that happen, and particularly amongst African American people. When you're dealing with a community, which I know we'll talk about with the historic Northwest, you're talking about history of a transitional thing that happened where it was a great community, and then it changed and it shifted. And not saying it's not great now, but there's a lot of things that change, but there's a history of distrust and broken promises. And you have to consider all those things when you're dealing with communities and redevelopment, because to some people, redevelopment means gentrification. For some people, redevelopment means pushing me out of my home. For other people, redevelopment means progress. But you need to understand what that means to everybody, and consider all those things when you're moving forward. You just can't say, oh, we built a building, it's successful. No, that's success to you, but that may not be success to the next person. And people need to know. And so as a consultant with the CRA, I'm constantly pushing that thought, the humanity of development. That's how I call it. Humanity of rebuilding. You have to consider the humanity of people, because it's not a project. These are people that you're about to affect in developing a neighborhood or an area. So that's part of my role as a CRA consultant, and how I was brought on, it was a little different, but when I got in there.
Well, that was going to be like my next question, but I see how you work, and I've see the work that you do, and I just again appreciate you and just being that voice, the voice for the community, in the boardroom, when certain decisions are being made, and it just really feels good to even know that a sister like you I could work with in the community. You're in the boardroom, but then you also roll your sleeves up and you work. You're out there.
I do.
With us,
I do. I consider myself, I call myself a ground soldier, because I like being on the ground. Where the people are. I'm all about, I want to know what the people think, what they feel, what they know, because you can, you let the people on the ground educate you. It don't start from the top. It's what the people think, and they can be the experts. It doesn't have to be the other way around all the time. When you just listen, you might learn something. So you need to be on the ground a little bit more. So that I'm usually on the ground.
And I'm right there with you, girl. And I appreciate everything that you do. It's like we soldiers out here in the trenches. So what I wanted to also just mention, who inspired you to actually go into the anthropology and to do what you're doing? I mean, was this anybody that inspired? I know your mother said you consider the culture as far as the business name, because you say that all the time. But is there that one individual that inspired you?
Oh my goodness.
It just totally like, this is what I want to do. Like,
it's interesting, because when I graduated from Bethune-Cookman, I knew that I wanted to be an anthropologist. I didn't know I didn't know all about anthropology. So what I did was when I moved back home to West Palm for 2 years, and in that 2 years span, I got a job and I took classes at FAU because I said, hey, if I'm gonna pursue a higher degree, I need to get some background on anthropology. So I started taking anthropology courses, and I was taking so many anthropology courses. I was going crazy because I was like it was hard though. It was very difficult because I was the only Black person in the class, and that imposter syndrome came in as like, I'm not supposed to be here. How in the world I don't know this language, this anthropology language. I'm a sociology major. And then I would say what shifted me into understanding who I am and what I can do was actually two professors, Dr. Betsy Schumann. She was a Jewish professor who pulled me aside and say, hey, do you want to really learn this stuff? And I said, yes. I said, but I don't think I can do it. And so I had to, in her class, biological anthropology. That's why I love biological anthropology so much. She took me aside and she said, hey, if you want to do well and you want to write well and do well in this class, what you have to do is turn your paper in a week before everybody else. And then I'm going to review it. We'll sit down and talk about it. And then you resubmit it. And you talk about tough. So I had to turn in my paper a week before it was due, before everybody, to sit with her and to learn more about anthropology and be a better writer and be a better researcher. And that changed my life because I said, I don't think I can do it. And she told me, listen, people, just as much as the people in the class, you just don't believe you do. She said, they just know how to talk right. So you just need to know how to talk right in that classroom and use the right words. But don't ever think that you don't know just as much as they do, because you read just as much. And that changed my whole thinking of no, and they don't have what you have. You have experience, and you can always get theory and knowledge in a book, but you can't get somebody else's experience. And you put those two together, the sky's the limit. And that did it for me. That professor did it for me, that she took the time. She saw that I was struggling, but she saw potential in me, and she didn't look like me. So sometimes the people that help you get through may not look like you. God sends who I don't want to preach, but God sent whomever to get you to the next chapter of your life. It doesn't matter. And she was that one professor. And then that second professor at FAU, she was an African-American woman, Dr. Brown. She was she's a psychologist. She does psychology and anthropology. And I was her research assistant. And she did research on the mindset of Tuskegee Airmen. She wanted to know the psychology of Tuskegee Airmen. She wanted to know what made Tuskegee Airmen become Tuskegee Airmen in the time period that it was. It's something that motivated them and kept them doing it. So she did research and interviewed Tuskegee Airmen, and I was her research assistant. And that was another pivotal point for me. And to see this Black woman who was an anthropologist researching Tuskegee Airmen, and I'm her research assistant. And I said, well, she can do it, I can do it. So those are two pivotal moments for me at FAU when I first started taking anthropology classes. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So tell me, what do you enjoy most about what you do?
What I actually enjoy? I enjoy the fact that one of the things about anthropology is we use certain methods called ethnographic research. And that's kind of just like right there on your face. So not to get too technical and academic, it's face on research. And so you would do interviews, observation, or an active participant observating. So you're actively participating in wherever you are, and you're doing research. And that's what I love is really the methods to step back and observe behavior. I enjoy it. People say, oh, you just staring, but I'm actually thinking and working, because you can learn a lot about observing people. So the methods that I use, I truly enjoy that. But most of all, I enjoy sharing with people what I learned. So that's why I know I'm an educator, because
Yeah.
when I started learning about anthropology, I started telling everybody about what I knew. Like I was telling my mama, my sisters, like, do you know about this? And then I said, I want to share that with people who, you know, who's not in my class. So I truly enjoy doing that. And the flexibility that I have, as you know, I'm a consultant, but I also teach at Palm Beach Atlantic. But you know, I can go and do a workshop, and then later on go and teach in a college classroom, and then sit at a board meeting with, you know, CRA. I love to be able to be all these different places and utilize my mind and what my skill set in all these various areas. I actually enjoy that, to be able to impact in all these different ways. And still,
it sounds so exciting. It sounds so exciting. I just get excited about it because just trying to work with bringing it all together. You know, this is us talking about the business piece, because you know me, bringing it all together and bringing it to that baby, that platform, your home, your website, and that, you know, because we got a lot of work going on in behind the scenes, y'all. You know, just want you to know that. And again, I'm just honored to be able to work with you on that note. But to be able to bring all of this amazing stuff together, because you have resources, there's so much information that you could be putting out there that people need to know and they need to see. This is an interactive interview, and there's some people that's made some comments. I just want to jump on here real quick so that you can see that. We have Christina Lambert, Commissioner. Thank you for the work you do, Dr. Winn. Love it. Consider the culture.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Awesome. And then I have Dr. Alicia Nguyen. I'm sorry, Alicia James, not Alicia Nguyen. There's two Alicias. Alicia James. Hi, Tracy. Great show, Dr. Nguyen. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the comments. And also, you guys, thank you. For all of the shares and all of the support that you've been showing with this show and this live stream over the last few months here. I mean, this is amazing. A lot of people I work with, like I said, I don't expose and put it out there, but being able to have this platform, and this is what I've done in this downtime in the COVID, is being able to build a place that where I can bring a Dr. Winn on, and we could talk about the amazing stuff that you do and the services that you offer. Now, education, when you had that, there was a talk that you did that the Historical Society of Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
That right there gave me the chills. I was like, wow, that right there changed everything as far as how I looked at you from there. I was like, yes, she's a teacher. She's an educator. She's a professor. But you know your stuff. You know your stuff.
Thank you.
And I see so much of the work that you put out in the Historical Northwest District. Education as far as the history and a lot of stuff that people are learning that they didn't know is what you're bringing to the forefront, you know? And we so appreciate that.
Thank you. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, I never thought that I would be in the position that I'm in. And it's just something how things work. And I haven't really told a lot of my story. So I just thank you for this opportunity, you know, because, you know, you have all these plans, but, you know, there's a bigger plan for you because I was a tenured track full-time professor. And for those who don't know, tenure track is hard to get a tenure track job, a full-time job at a university. When I graduated from the University of South Florida with my Ph.D. in Applied Anthropology, I was hired before I even finished school, which was a blessing. So I graduated in May of that year. I was working at Fayetteville State in Fayetteville, North Carolina by July of that same year. And, you know, I had a full-time teaching job. I had 18 advisees. I had 4 classes teaching anthropology. I was developing a minor in anthropology in a sociology department. This was my first year. And it was very, very tough to jump from being a student all those years, and 2 months later, you're actually a professor being called doctor. And so it was a tough situation, but I was there for 4 years. But then I felt that something was missing. But everybody identified being a full-time professor tenure track, that's considered success. But I said, if this is success, something's wrong because I don't feel successful. I was working so hard, but I love teaching, but I did not love the grind of that professorship and that pressure. And I said, something's wrong. I should be doing something else, but I did not know. And 4 years into being on a tenure track professor, I had 2 more years to be promoted to associate professor. I left. I left. And a complete shift, a complete career change. And I said, oh, what am I doing? But I knew something in me I had to shift, because, you know, when you feel you have light and you feel like it's dimming, it's time for you to move and shift. And you don't want to lose who you are. And I felt like I was losing the light of who I am. So I left. I said I was going to move to Tampa. But that never happened. It's 6 years later.
Right here in Palm Beach County.
I came to West Palm to visit, and life it took a whirlwind. And now I'm here talking to you about my business and doing the things that I love and the things I want to do, and still teaching. So, you know, life takes you in all these different directions, and you do have to step out, close your eyes, and step over that cliff and pray that and know that God will catch you before you fall. And that's what he did for me. And so I'm sorry I had to share that, but that's my journey and that's my life. And I know that others who are maybe thinking and going down that path of like career shift, it's possible. It's possible to do what you love and create it in the way that you want to do it, not the way it's dictated of what success is. Because again, what success is for one person is not success for another. And you know, that person does not determine what success is. It's really what your life is. And so that's my journey. So everything that I've done with the CRA, it was very unexpected. I was.
But yeah, let's talk about that, because 6 years later, you're here in West Palm Beach. How did it come out with you with the CRA and that opportunity itself? How did that come about?
Well, when I moved back home, what I did was, you know, it's like I had to start over. Literally start over. It was very unexpected. A lot of things happen, and when you starting over, it doesn't seem very, you don't see the light when you're starting over. It's just like, oh, what have I done? Did I make the right choice? But in the time where I was home, and I started volunteering with historic heritage organizations. I've worked in 4 museums, so I do have experience. While all the time I was in grad school or in school, I was working in museums, so I was gaining other experience in other areas. So I have experience and knowledge in museum studies as well as archival research in museums. And so I said, well, you know, I still want to continue that heritage part. So I started volunteering with the Storm of 28 Memorial Park with the hazards. I started working with them, and you know, they are the keepers and the knowledge givers about the 1928 storm and the mass grave site of 674 bodies underneath the ground on 25th and Tamarind. And that story was fascinating to me because I grew up.
Look at how you just roll that off of your tongue. So you know it. That's what I'm talking about. I love the hazards. I love them. Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, my dad and my mom was like, you know, it's people buried over there. And I was just like, what you mean is people buried? And from there, I went and explored and met the hazards. So I started volunteering, working with them and consulting with them and assisting them as far as the educational piece with them. And so I started working with them. And then I was at an event at the Storm of 28, and John Ward, the director at that time, saw me speak. And he approached me and said, you know, I don't really know what you do, but you seem like you're somebody that need to be on our team. I don't know what anthropology is, but you sound like you know what you're talking about, because I was doing the welcome or something. I was speaking. And so I met with them a couple times. I had never heard of the CRA, didn't know anything about the CRA and what they did. So they had to kind of give me an education about that. And I was like, well, here we go. And that was really when the development of my business started. It was like the business started before I was even ready, because it was like, so what is your fee and what do you charge? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like,
so how it happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah, so I was like making up stuff that I was basing my salary on what I was making at Fayetteville State, and I was like, well, that was a decent salary, so just increase that, and then so I just had to put something together, and
Wow.
and I was like, I guess I got a business now.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome how that worked. And even with working with the storm of 1928, it's just amazing. I was mentioning to, I believe it was you or maybe Latanya, one of the, somebody I was speaking with today. It's amazing how it's just how your circle and the people that you have in your circle and how it's connected. Like some of these just power people, it's like they're all connected in some way. And if you, at the storm of 1928 last year, you was like, listen, I got to bring you on this. I got to bring you on to this because we need some help. And thank you for that opportunity, because that has allowed me to now work with the storm of 1928 and learn so much that I didn't even know about,
Yes.
It's been a beautiful experience. So thank you for that opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. And because they need help. I mean, and that's just one of the many heritage organizations. I mean, you got ARLIC of Palm Beach County African American Research Library and Cultural Center.
Right.
You got the Pleasant City Committee of Miss Everett Clark, preserving, and has even written a book about Pleasant City and the work that she's done. There are a lot of the Coleman and Lincoln Park History Committee. There are a lot of people, organizations of people who grew up in those neighborhoods or really have these stories that have been fighting and working to preserve the history in Palm Beach County, particularly West Palm, but also tell the story and pass that down. And so us as that next generation, it's like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to keep this going and tell the story. So I end up connecting with all of those heritage and work with all of those heritage organizations in some way through consulting or just supporting or informing people or educating our youth about that, about this history. And so that's one of the things that I do right now. That's my other hat is I'm the project director of the Palm Beach County Oral History Project that we just got started this summer, and is the first virtual oral history project where our youth are interviewing elders of what it's like growing up in Palm Beach County. So we have young people that are representing 4 different cities from West Palm Beach, Pahokee, Belglade, and Delray, and they're interviewing elders that are from their same hometown. And this project that we're doing, and they are learning about the history of Palm Beach County, the Black experience, but then they're also learning these historical areas like the Storm of 28 and the mass grave site. And so, that's something that I'm continuing in that preservation, but involving teenagers in this process, in this project. So we're working on that project right now.
Awesome. So if there was our viewers, if they're interested in getting their children involved, or how can they get signed up or to be a part, to participate?
Well, right now it's on the way. It's already in the process because it's a pilot. So we only have a small number, but this pilot is going to help determine how we're going to do it again. So we're going to do it again, probably starting at the early part of the summer or in the springtime. So if you have someone that's interested, especially when we extend this, definitely they can get in touch with me when we do it, because we're in the second phase of it already. So, but for sure they can get in touch with me if they're interested.
Okay, we got a couple of more comments here. And you guys, if there's anybody that has any questions for Dr. Nguyen, please make sure to drop those in the comments. We have April Bullard. She's passionate about her craft. Love Dr. Nguyen. Kim Yankee. Go Lish. Oh,
Leash. That's my sister. That's my sister.
Oh, that's your sister. Oh, she called me on the phone talking about, is this how we connect? I said, no, we're on Facebook. Okay. And then we have Alicia James. Very well said, Dr. Winn. Thank you. That's awesome. So, I mean, I always ask, as far as closing us out in words of encouragement, what is it that, I know we've been in a really, really crazy time just within this, this last year here, with this past year, 2020. It seems like 2020 has just been a hot mess.
Yeah.
How have you been adjusting, as a consultant, as a business owner, as an educator? how have you been, adjusting to all of this? But then with that being said, just closing us out with, words of encouragement.
It's been tough because, as a business owner, you interact with people, and part of most of what I do is interacting and talking and teaching people, being immersed in the community. The residents that I work with, I'm in the community, I live in the community, and, constantly, doing community engagements, events, participating in that. So it's been tough because everything has been like virtual, and it's been really hard because my business is based upon people and being around people. So I've had to be very creative in how I do stuff, whether it's teaching. We did virtual teaching in the mid part of the semester for PBA, but now PBA, we're on campus. So I taught I'm teaching in the classroom, which is a little nerve-wracking. We have to wear, mask, and they have all these protective things, but you're still around students, and students are around you. So it's a little nerve-wracking in the sense that, trying to be real careful, but this is the decision that they made, and but you're prepared to like the possibility it could change, and go virtual again. And, so it's been tough. The great part of it is looking and seeing the creativity of community and utilizing the tough situation and making something great and beautiful out of it. So we've seen residents do, pass out meals in the neighborhood to other residents. We've seen businesses open up their doors to help people fill out rental assistance applications and employment applications. We've seen organizations do food distribution.
Let's do a backup on that. As far as that, we got to give City Side Suites a shout out on that.
That's right. City Side Suites.
Even for right now,
because they have been vital in the historic Northwest. And they became basically, I would say, a frontline workers to help the neighborhood. If you needed to go to fill out applications, they open up their doors so you can go on their computers to fill out applications and fill out that mortgage or rental assistance application or business grants. They assisted even the businesses in the Northwest to help them apply for business grants. So yes, shout out to City Side Suites. And that's one thing that I pushed in the CRA and had them recognize, listen, that there's a business that has become on the front line, assisting actual residents to basically stay afloat. And what do we need to do, and how do we need to assist them in assisting everybody else? So yes, shout out to City Side Suites, and because they were vital in these past 5 months in helping the neighborhood and the people in this community, for sure. So yeah, it's been tough, but I've gotten a chance to see such wonderful it's something how hardship, you see all the beauty in who we are.
Everybody together and how it can bring everybody together. We're talking about drive-by food banks,
all of that. We in this neighborhood, and so sometimes the Northwest get a bad rap, but people are people everywhere. And people everywhere want the same thing, even if it's a neighborhood that you would identify as blighted, which I don't really use that word. That's a term that people use, but there are a lot of people that are working hard and got jobs and educated and got their own business that live in the Northwest, and they're trying to survive just like everybody else, and they're decent people. And so people came together in this neighborhood and really got a lot of things done and helped each other out in this community. And so so I was encouraged even in the midst of this pandemic, as far as the community. And then, I had to put some things on hold because I do professional development for teachers in the school district. I did professional development for teachers at Plamosa Elementary in Delray, and we were supposed to do another professional development about educating them about culture and dealing with students of different cultures and belief systems. But
which is so important, like right now in this time too, you know.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to come of that. We might have to do something virtual now, but that's one thing I do is developing and educating teachers about, you know, how important it is. You know, their students don't look like them, and they don't think like them, and they don't live like them, and they need to know and understand that as their. So that's part of that consider the culture of my business, in which I, you know, and that's been kind of put on hold, but thankfully I'm still working virtually, still teaching, and you know, making it work, you know.
Okay. And you're still holding it down just like you do always.
Yeah.
Again, I know with time and everything. I know that you're super busy, and I was like, okay, can I get you on the show this week? Well, how about the following week? Well, how about 2 weeks out? So I appreciate you for coming through and showing us the love.
Of course.
I really appreciate that. So, what was your words of encouragement?
You know, my word of encouragement is, I encourage everyone to, you know, persevere. You know, I say that to anybody, but I also say it to my younger generation, that, and even older, you know, because it's never too late. Long as you still breathing, you can do whatever you want to do. You can decide to change the world, even if you're 70, you know. And but my word of encouragement is to don't give up, persevere, because I was an average student. My guidance counselor did not encourage me to go to college. She didn't see it fit. She looked at my test scores, and she told a lot of students who looked like me, you know, take up a trade or whatever. And I was like, what? So I was an average C student in high school. You know, I went off to Bethune-Cookman, and I had to work hard, you know, but I saw people who looked like me that were successful, and that was encouraging to me. And there were people who didn't think that I should go all the way, because they looked at, you know, what's on paper. And I had a supportive family, very supportive parents, who was like, I don't know what you do, but keep on doing it. They didn't understand anthropology, but they encouraged me. So I would say, you know, persevere, don't give up, do what you love. You know, my father said, you got your whole life to work. You know, you got 60 years to work. You might as well do something you love to do, you know, and because it's not work, it's just living, you know, do what you love. Attitude is everything, you know, because it don't matter if you good at what you do and your attitude stinks, you know. Have a good attitude about what you do. And you know, I tend to say, just keep the faith, believe in the divine. I believe in the divine, and he guides me. And so never give up, good attitude, you know, love what you do what you love. And it'll work out. It does.
That is so good. That is so good. Now I feel like I done been to church.
Well, you know,
I feel like I've been to church, but I need to piggyback on just that one that you mentioned that just really stood out, because you know I'm a service provider. So a lot of the work that I do is dealing with various businesses and business owners and nonprofits. Attitude is everything.
Oh yeah.
Now I know we are all going through it. Yeah. We are all going through it. You are not the only one that's going through it, you know. So we have to make sure that we check our attitudes, you know, make sure that you're still being kind, still being respectful. You know, you never know what people are dealing with and what they're battling with in their lives. You know, you have businesses that are closing up shop. You have people that lost family members that can't even attend or haven't even been able to attend the funerals. You know, so I just ask that you guys continue just to be kind, be nice. Let's just talk for attitudes as business owners. I'm speaking, you know. So again, thank you for the love, Dr. Winn.
Thank you for having me. It was great. Thank you for the platform.
Sorry about the little technical difficulty in the beginning, but we got it right.
It's all right. That comes with the territory. We virtual.
You know it.
So
It's all of the territory. We're gonna master this thing, boy. But at the end of the day, we're gonna end up mastering this baby.
yes,
One more comment we have here. Great show, lady. Tracy Thompson, you rock. Thank you. Hashtag Stellar Marketing Pro. That's our tag. That's our hashtag. Make sure you guys use that hashtag when you share this live stream. One more thing, Dr. Nguyen, how can they find you?
They can email me at awinn, AWINN 626 at gmail.com. That's awinn626 at gmail.com. We're working on that webpage.
Yeah, and the professional email, everything across the board.
Yeah, we're working on all of that branding, logo. So Miss Tracy is working on that. So that's soon to come. But you can definitely email me and get in touch with me, and I'll respond to you. So,
and I'll drop some links in the bottom of this, the comment in this stream where they can get a hold of you, and I'll also leave it in the description so people can know how to get in touch with you.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much. You have to enjoy the rest of your week, Dr. Nguyen.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys, thank you for tuning in to another weekly Stellar Marketing Pros live show. Same time, same place next week. Actually, we're going to do 6 o'clock next week. We just made some special arrangements just for our VIP stellar client, Dr. Winn. But next week, 6 o'clock on Thursday, we have 10 Angels Forever, Sandra Price, who is the founder, who will be interviewing, and the whole board. So we look forward to that interview, guys. Until then, continue to be safe and enjoy the rest of your week. All right, bye.